On Saturday, the second and final day of the summit of the G77 and China takes place at the Havana Convention Center in Cuba. The president-elect of Guatemala, Bernardo Arevalo, called for mobilization to accompany him to present an injunction before the Supreme Court of Justice. Unoccupied Israeli forces carried out a series of attacks on Northern Gaza on Friday night and early Saturday morning. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Saturday, the second and final day of the summit of the G77 and China takes place at the Havana Convention Center in Cuba. Friday's meeting made significant progress in the construction of a space for reaching agreements on historical demands, such as the need for a new international economic order, the rejection of coercive measures against countries, as well as situations related to the concentration of wealth or the growth of poverty, with a safe vision. The adoption of a final document focused on the global challenges in science, technology, and innovation will seal Saturday's convention in Havana. Several presidents, including President of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, are scheduled to appear in his last date, in addition to the parallel program of the guests invited to the meeting. The President of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, gave a speech on Saturday at the summit of heads of states and governments of the Group of 77 and China, and Lula affirms that there are two great transformations in progress.
Major transformations that are underway. They cannot be shaped by a bunch of rich economies publishing once again the dependency between center and periphery. The first one is the digital revolution. Advances with network computing, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, cutting-edge biotechnology, and the digitization bring new possibilities that some decades ago we could never imagine. But these innovations have threatening collateral effects. The big multinationals of the technology industry have a business model that increases the wealth concentration, does not respect labor laws, and many times they feed the violation of human rights and foster extremism.
In his statement, President Lula highlighted the fact that cooperation through organizations such as CELAC and BRICS, as well as with other African countries, will allow the development of southern economies.
We will give a new trigger to programs and regional programs through the CELAC, BRICS, and the Portuguese-speaking language countries. The collaboration with Angola and Mozambique and many other countries in Africa demonstrate that the sharing of knowledge, policies, and Brazilian technologies can help us to give a quality leap forward in terms of the agriculture output and in the production of drugs and medication. Under the Brazilian chair of the G20, we will propose the creation of a working group in science, technology, and innovation to leverage the interests of the developing countries in this field. In New Delhi, we participated in the launch of the Global Alliance for Biofuels. Our objective is to show the potential of bioenergy in the context of the energy transition.
The Minister of Foreign Relations, Agriculture and Trade of Antigua and Barbuda, Honorable Chet Grint, referred to the scarcity of drinking water affecting small Caribbean island and the need to have affordable access to technology to face such a crisis.
We know all too well the impact of water scarcity and the enormous cost of manufacturing. We, however, have no choice. But we believe that access to technology at an affordable price would help us enormously if only we allowed access to concessional financing, which is a clear imperative in this case. Therefore, we readily join all nations here at this meeting in calling for the transfer of the necessary technologies and access to existing ones including in the areas of food and nutrition, health, water, sanitation and energy, in order to improve the quality of life and, more importantly, to sustain it.
The Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis stressed the need for collaboration to be able to address currently the issues that are affecting Caribbean nations. The minister also called for the international community to change its financial system in order to allow small Caribbean nations to achieve sustainable development.
In order to deliver on our sustainable development objectives, we seek the support of you, our friends, in ensuring that the issues of resources, the issues of capacity limitations, the issues of connectivity are adequately addressed so that no child is left behind in a brighter digital world. And so today, we again urge the international community.
We go live to the summit of the Group 77 and China held in Havana. Let's listen to the statement of Ains Echeverry, Minister of Science, Technology, Knowledge and Innovation of the Republic of Chile.
Issues, common concepts and strategies in the negotiations with the developed countries. G77 and China is closely linked to the agreements and achievements of the UN system. Since the establishment of the group in 1967, its creation and articulation has allowed international community and in particular the Global South to place their priorities in the discussion, contributing to the development of our countries. As a country, we are certain that the summit will allow us to face better the challenges of developing countries and will give us the opportunity to identify converging points and complementarity for our common challenges. Likewise, we believe this meeting will strengthen the voice of the G77 plus China in the wake of different negotiation processes like this Sustainable Development Goals Summit and the Summit of the Future. The negotiation process in New York for these two summits should have an approach of international equality, together with solidarity, fair treatment, and equal treatment among states. Equality among states and respect for international law does not make possible the imposition of unilateral coercive measures nor economic blockades against any country. We have been consistent in rejecting the blockade against Cuba and will continue pointing out the illegality and irrationality of a blockade against a country. The effects of the pandemic made it clear that the economic blockade not only affects persons and their rights. As pointed out by President Gabriel Boric at the last CELAC European Union Summit, the Cuba's declaration as a country sponsoring terrorism is unacceptable, and we reiterate this at this G77 and plus China Summit. We want to express our solidarity with Cuba and its people. This has been reciprocal. For more than 50 years ago, my country suffered a coup d'etat that affected the democracy and institutionality of the country, as well as thousands of persons. Cuba, together with other countries in this room, showed their solidarity, and we will always be grateful to this solidarity and to those countries that gave opportunities to Chileans in the exile. Chile is today the chairman of ECOSOC, and we will make efforts for science and technology to be proper instruments, placing emphasis on the Global South. The voice of our region is key to promote this. The G77 group needs to establish different strategies for this purpose. We know that under Cuba's chairmanship, social aspects and issues will be properly analyzed within the United Nations. We have also stated some priorities. We want to make progress in the fulfillment of the SDGs in a multi-crisis environment and emphasize recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic. We need to focus in food crisis and to make progress in the discussion regarding the international financial architecture. All this requires coordination among member states of the G77 plus China. The SDG summit that will take place in a few days will be very important in our path towards the fulfillment of the 2030 agenda. The actions of G77 will be crucial to support our countries in their achievement of the SDGs. One of Chile's priority as chairman of the United Nations ECOSOC is to make progress in discussions regarding the international financial architecture, and we hope to contribute as part of this group in promoting debates for a financial architecture with favorable conditions for the South. Efforts to address these deficits must be consistent with SDGs and through a concerted action with involvement of all bodies of the UN system. We need to address the increasing external debt of South countries. As G77, we will place this in the international agenda. The need of low-income countries and middle-income countries, which are very important for the countries that are part of this group. In this regard, we believe that gaps and access to knowledge, science, technology is indispensable toward the sustainable development of our countries. To achieve SDGs, we must promote access and use of scientific knowledge and technological transfer for the benefit of developing countries. Today, we live a very complex international scenario marked by multiple crises affecting the global population. The duty of the states is to find paths and ways for solutions. For this, science, technology, and innovation are essential. Scientific and technological progress is key for sustainable development, and it should go hand in hand with solidarity. Crises affect everybody without distinction. In fact, climate change affects disproportionately the global South and the developing countries. Against this problem, we need to find global solutions. For this, solidarity, equality, and justice should be the basic parameters for coexistence, and G77 must continue to play an essential role in this in multilateral forums. We should analyze converging points in the group, explore new paths to achieve new agreements. To create a better future for our countries, we must harness and strengthen our talent and capacities in different areas and strengthen those channels that will allow us to generate social, cultural, and material value for our societies. We highlight the importance of digital connectivity to overcome the digital divide, as agreed in the World Summit on the Information Society held in Geneva in 2003 and Tunisia 2005. This digital connectivity not only allows us to overcome the digital divide, but it's also important for adopting advanced technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, like 5G, artificial intelligence, Internet of the Things, cloud, big data, etc. Likewise, we cannot forget that digital connectivity is important for the exercise of human rights, particularly effective access of populations in public services and in the administration of the state. Linked to this need for our connectivity, we want to talk about the importance of frameworks regarding artificial intelligence. This is an important opportunity to solve the main challenges faced by the countries in terms of health, human rights, mobility, and the challenges of different states in the framework of the SDGs. However, our governments must establish regulatory frameworks for artificial intelligence and its impacts to fundamental rights like the right to privacy and freedom of expression. We believe it is important to acknowledge the representation of developed countries in universal governance of artificial intelligence as the ideal instrument for building local capacities. Finally, my country, we deeply regret the tragedy occurred recently in Morocco and Libya. We express our condolences and solidarity towards the Moroccan and Libyan people, in particular the relatives of the victims and those who have been hurt by these catastrophes. Thank you. I thank the representative of Chile, and we now give the floor to His Excellency Basolma Basi, Minister of State for Public Services and Labor and Social Protection of Burkina Faso.
Excellence, Monsieur le Président.
Your Excellency, Mr. President Miguel Díaz-Canel, President of the Republic of Cuba, President of the Summit of Heads of State and Government of the 77 and China, Your Excellencies, Mr. President and Heads of Delegation. I would like to, on behalf of the President of the Transition, His Excellency the Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Head of State, would like to transmit lively and cordial greetings from the people and government of Burkina Faso. Thank you very much to Cuba for the hospitality that we have received from Cuba, a country from resistance and resilience in the homeland of José Martí. I would like to bow in memory of our comrades Fidel Castro and Noel Isidor Thomas Sankara, who have led us to inherit a spirit of work and sacrifice. These two leaders met in a great camaraderie and fraternity in Cuba on the 25th of September in 1984. I would also like to bow in memory of the victims of the natural catastrophes, social inequalities, and wars, of which terrorism in general, and particularly Sahel, has been a victim. Burkina Faso rejoices in participating in this summit. Mr. President, we must condemn a coup d'etat, but we must also question the wrong governments of the parties who also demand a response to their necessities. All the states member of this group have firmly supported the revolution that took place in Nigeria, with the entire participation of Western Africa. Burkina Faso also supports the brother people of Niger. Burkina Faso congratulates ourselves in participating in this summit. on science, technology, and innovation, for which the different opportunities must be proven in this new world. Human beings have been facing new technological processes, and although there are deep complexities, we have had discoveries that have revolutionized different walks of life. Man has domesticated rainforests, deserts, and others. We have revolutionized the principles of feeling safe and happy on Earth, but unfortunately, there are setbacks. First of all, because the conqueror of space and resources was not made with the goal of a human enjoyment, but rather in the spirit of domination and exploitation of man by man. Second, in this spirit of domination and exploitation, the ways of life have been violated. Nature has been ravaged in such a way that the climate now has no way to go back to its previous state. And man has therefore suffered from many diseases. This spirit has also of domination and exploitation has violated natural norms of procreation and even graver human norms of procreations. This spirit of domination and exploitation that has led us into madness has led us also into wars and terrorism. As a matter of fact, the conquest of space and resources in this spirit has left thousands and thousands of human beings at the verge of scientific Netherlands. Humanity will make full sense when innovation can allow man to export to other borders
Schools are closed, health centers to making the population live in a very precarious situations. All this the defense of human rights when the protection of the people is blocked to carry out an aggression and the massacre of populations as it happened in Burkina Faso. Is that human rights defense? When we talk about structural readjustment programs, savage privatizations, are these expression of human rights defense? Mining resources are being plundered. Is this human rights? Unfortunately, people are committed to fight for independence and social progress. We, the people of Burkina Faso reiterate our acknowledgement towards all peoples of the world that have shown solidarity to us. So we also stand in solidarity with peoples fighting for self-determination and independence like the peoples of Niger and Mali. It would be naive to think that they could succeed in compelling Niger to go back. While scientific progress is in the hands of a few to exploit and plunder mostly 90% of the population, there will be revolutions and coups d'etats. The real solution to real progress stands with scientific and technological governance for or guided by human conscience. The people of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali are fighting for the economic, political, and cultural independence, for free or for self-determination. I would like, before I conclude, salute the leadership of Cuba as president of the G77 plus China and recognize the hard efforts for the holding of this summit. So long live Cuba, long live G77 plus China, long live solidarity among people. Homeland or death, we shall prevail. Thank you for your attention. I thank Your Excellency for your kind words. I now give the floor to the Minister of Finance of the Arab Republic of Syria.
President of the Republic of Cuba, Canal Demeritis, Your Highnesses, Excellencies, Heads of State or Government, fellow ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, allow us in the outset to extend our heartfelt condolences to the peoples of Morocco and Libya for the natural disasters that struck their countries. This entails us to cooperate and help. We would like also to extend the greetings of our president, Mr. Bashar al-Assad, and his warm wishes for the President of the Republic of Cuba. We extend our thanks and gratitude to Cuba in fostering the multilateral action and for its initiative to hold this summit, which is of an utmost importance in achieving sustainable development for our peoples. This summit will be a great mark for a time when we conquer all the challenges. It will contribute also to supporting the South cooperation, including our right to access technology, science, deployment of technology and innovation in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. We also commend the historic close ties that links us to Cuba and other friendly countries in this group of 77 plus China. Our shared systems aim to consolidate our ties in respecting sovereignty, equality, and refraining from interference in other countries. We also would like to seize this opportunity to emphasize on standing with Cuba in combating the challenges, especially the unjust and blatant embargo imposed by the United States of America on Cuba and other countries that refuse the policies of injustice. We emphasize on the South cooperation through our sharing of knowledge, scientific products, and providing the support to all countries based on the national priorities of technology and science. We also call on to the countries to commit to their obligations in exchanging technology, especially developed countries, to refrain from monopolizing the scientific innovation. Syria as a country is spending ceaseless efforts in advancing science and innovation in spite of the war that has been waged since 2011, associated with the European and American unjust blockade against our country. This blockade has affected all the facets and levels of our lives in Syria. We also emphasize that our war against terrorism and extremism was fought by Syria on behalf of the international community. Our goal was to make knowledge and civilization as the main priorities and values of our world. We call on to the international community and to support us to get rid of the consequences of the war and blockade. Syria also supports the countries and their struggles, especially those countries are dealing with colonialism. We are talking here about the people of Palestine and our brothers and sisters in the Golan Heights. We call on to the termination end of the Israeli occupation and to uphold the decision of the United Nations. Also, we call on the withdrawal of the American and Turkish forces from Syria and let the Syrian people decide its rule. These people helped in ransacking our fortunes. We also call on to the immediate and unconditional coercive and unilateral measures and the American blockade imposed on our people and the Cuban people that has been experiencing since 60 years. In conclusion, we wish that this summit reaches successful and concrete actions, and we call on to organizing a new international financial system that guarantees the interests and the aspirations of our peoples to live in well-being. We thank the invitation that was extended to our delegation and the extremely hospitable hosting of Cuba to our delegation. Thank you very much for your listening.
Excelencia, por su intervención, concedemos la palabra al señor Simón Estiel, secretario ejecutivo de la Convención Marco de las Naciones Unidas sobre el Cambio Climático.
Your Excellencies, distinguished representatives of member states, honorable delegates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for welcoming us here in historic Havana. We've each expressed our condolences to the people of Morocco and Libya for the devastation they have just experienced through natural disasters. I want us to sit with this point for a moment. Each meeting we attend, increasingly, we must take pause and give condolences for the intensified catastrophes that are being experienced.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social medias, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Razabal. Thank you for watching.